17 degrees. That is how cold it will be in Mobile, Alabama this Sunday morning. Is your city about to experience the coldest weekend in a decade? Right now, 750,000 people are sitting in homes with no heat, and what's coming this weekend is going to make that situation significantly worse. Stay with me for the next 30 seconds because I'm about to show you the exact hour this Arctic blast hits your city and why this upcoming surge could be even more dangerous than what we just went through. Drop your city in the comments right now, and I'll give you personalized timing in tomorrow's update. Seriously. Comment your location. I'm reading every single one because I want to make sure you're prepared for what's coming. All right, let me give you those specific timings I promised. Atlanta, you're looking at Saturday morning around 6 a.m. when this really intensifies. Chicago, this hits you Friday night, probably around 10 p.m. Dallas, Friday afternoon is when you feel it. Miami, even you guys Sunday morning could see temperatures dropping close to freezing. And Boston, you're in for brutal cold starting Friday evening and lasting straight through Monday morning. Now here's what nobody is talking about. We just dealt with one of the most crippling ice storms in recent memory. Areas like Tennessee, Mississippi, Texas, Louisiana, nearly 750,000 people still without power this morning. And I'm looking at these model runs. And what I'm seeing for this weekend has me genuinely concerned because it's not just about the cold. It's about the cold hitting areas that are already devastated. Let me show you what we're dealing with here. Right now, we have an extremely intense Arctic air mass sitting across the central and southern plains, the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and it's still surging towards the southeast while a pocket of warm air is trying to hang on across Florida. But here's where things get interesting. Over the next couple days, this Arctic air is going to reload across Canada. By Tuesday, we're going to have a very strong area of cold air centered right over the Great Lakes. This thing is going to spin around an upper-level low-pressure system. Wednesday and Thursday, even though temperatures are still going to be way below average across the southern plains and the southeast, we are going to get yet another shot of Arctic air. And this is the one that really concerns me. This is going to be felt hard as we go into late Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Notice how far south this Arctic air mass is projected to go. We're talking all the way down to Florida, right along the Gulf Coast. And this might set up some rare snow chances for areas that almost never see it. Stick with me, because at minute 5, I'm showing you the one thing about this pattern that could break temperature records in multiple cities simultaneously. These are the temperatures we're dealing with this morning, and they are brutal. Sub-zero readings all across the Midwest. Single digits all the way down near Dallas-Fort Worth. Freezing temperatures as far south as extreme southern Texas and right along the Gulf Coast just outside of Tallahassee. Unfortunately for those that have ice and snow still on the ground, not much of that is going to melt today because most areas are going to remain below freezing. Tomorrow morning is going to be extremely cold. We could be at 0 degrees in Fort Smith. Little Rock, you're going to be right on that line between teens and single digits. All across the Northeast, we're talking sub-zero. Tomorrow afternoon brings some relief. Dallas, Fort Worth, Paris, Texas. Many locations that have been absolutely hammered by this ice storm will luckily get above freezing tomorrow afternoon. That is very good news because it's really one of the only chances this entire week that we'll be able to get above freezing. Nashville, you'll be right on the edge. Then any other areas in Kentucky and Tennessee are likely to remain just below freezing. And unfortunately, this is creating a really tough situation for power restoration crews. Wednesday morning, freezing temperatures extend all the way back down towards the Gulf Coast. Most of Ohio will be sub-zero. Wednesday afternoon, look at this. Tennessee, Kentucky, northeastern Arkansas, we are unlikely to get above freezing. Luckily, there will be some sunshine, so that'll help melt some of the ice and snow, but it's not going to be enough to get rid of all of it. Now here's where things get even more complicated. Right now, the GFS model is showing temperatures 20 to 30 degrees below normal, anywhere from Dallas, Fort Worth, and Austin back over into the Northeast. But the European model? It's showing even colder. That's a significant difference. We'll know which one is right by tomorrow morning's model runs. If the GFS verifies, you're looking at dangerous cold. But if the Euro is correct, we're talking about potentially record-breaking cold in dozens of cities. Make sure you check back tomorrow. In just 2 minutes, I'm revealing why this weekend could see the coldest temperatures some southern cities have experienced in 15 years. Let me talk about what makes this upcoming Arctic blast different from what we just experienced. The low temperatures for Saturday morning will be extremely cold, all across Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, and almost all across the Ohio Valley. By Sunday and Monday, temperatures remain very cold, and we could have a widespread freeze all across Florida on Sunday. This will be the first time in a very long time that we've had a widespread freeze almost all the way down towards Miami. Wait until you see this next part. Sub-zero temperatures are going to continue all across the Northeast. So this will be a much more impactful Arctic blast for those along the East Coast and all across the Ohio Valley next weekend. Sunday morning could easily be one of the coldest mornings we've seen this winter. All across areas in the Southeast, we could be down into the single digits and teens. Most of Florida could also be in that category. We're talking 8 to 15 degrees in Orlando, Jacksonville, Tallahassee. You guys in Pensacola, I know you've been dealing with the aftermath of that ice storm. Now you're looking at temperatures in the mid-teens Sunday morning. That's a tough combination when you're still trying to get power restored. Mobile, you're looking at 17 degrees. Biloxi, around 19 degrees. New Orleans, you could hit 21 degrees Sunday morning. How about you folks in Hattiesburg with that 14-degree reading? Jackson, Mississippi, 12 degrees. Meridian, 13 degrees. These are temperatures that don't happen often in your area. And when they do, they can cause serious problems, especially if you're still dealing with infrastructure damage from the previous storm. Keep watching because the most important part is coming up. This affects everyone, even if you're in an area that doesn't typically see extreme cold. Let me jump into some city-by-city breakdowns because I want you to know exactly what you're facing. Memphis, tomorrow you're looking at 19 degrees for a high. Wednesday, maybe 22. But the weekend, we're talking low temperatures Saturday morning around 8 degrees. That's dangerous cold, Birmingham. Here's your concern. It's not just the cold, it's the cold plus the fact that many of you are still without heat. Saturday morning, you're looking at 11 degrees. Friday night is when it really starts to drop. You'll be at 25 degrees around midnight, 18 degrees by 3 a.m., and then bottoming out around 6 a.m. Saturday. Montgomery, you've got similar concerns. Saturday morning, 13 degrees. And with the wind, it's going to feel even colder. We're talking wind chills in the single digits. Now watch what happens when we move further east. Atlanta, you just dealt with that flash freeze situation. Now you're looking at Saturday morning temperatures around 15 degrees. The northern suburbs could see 12 degrees. South of the city, maybe 17 degrees. But it's all dangerous cold, especially if power is still out in your area. Charleston, South Carolina, you might be thinking you're far enough east to escape the worst of this. Unfortunately, you're still looking at Saturday morning around 23 degrees. Savannah, 21 degrees. Jacksonville, 19 degrees. These aren't records, but they're cold enough to cause problems, especially for any pipes that might be exposed. Actually, let me back up for a second. I need to clarify something about the timing. These Saturday morning lows, we're talking about the period between about 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. That's when you'll see the coldest temperatures. So if you need to take protective measures for your home, do it Friday evening before you go to bed. Raleigh, you've got about a 30% chance of seeing some snow Saturday. If it happens, we're talking maybe 1 to 3 inches. Greensboro, similar situation. Charlotte, your chances are a bit lower, maybe 20%, but it's not zero. Here's what's really crazy about this. Richmond, Virginia, you could see temperatures Saturday morning around 19 degrees with snow possible late Friday into early Saturday. Washington, D.C., you're looking at 22 degrees Saturday morning. Baltimore, 20 degrees. Philadelphia, 18 degrees. And once again, I want to stress, these models are still waffling on the exact snow amounts and placement. Now here's the kicker. These models are not in agreement right now about the snow. The American model says the main snow stays offshore. The Euro says it clips the coast and brings accumulating snow to the Carolinas and Virginia. That tells me we're still in that window where things could shift. Check back tomorrow because we'll have much better data by tomorrow morning's model runs. Don't skip ahead. You need to hear this next part about what happens when this cold air meets moisture from the Gulf. Let me talk about the snow potential because this is something that could really develop over the next 48 hours. Right now, the GFS model on Friday night is showing the possibility of an offshore low developing just east of North Carolina. That might bring snowfall to areas like North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and I gotta say, that's a lot better than freezing rain in these areas. Further to the west, there could be some snow flurries in areas like Oklahoma and Texas. By Saturday, we could see some snow develop over the Carolinas. There's even a possibility that we have a threat of snow right along the Gulf Coast if we get enough moisture from the Gulf. It's going to depend on the evolution of how the high-pressure system develops, how far south it goes, and exactly where it positions near the surface. Quick side note. When I say snow along the Gulf Coast, I'm talking about areas like the Florida Panhandle, maybe as far west as Louisiana. These are places that see snow maybe once every 5 to 10 years, if that. Anyway, back to the main setup. Right now, the GFS model is showing mainly an East Coast system, but it's been kind of back and forth between having a Gulf Coast event and an East Coast event. So there's a possibility this weekend that we could see some snow, but at least for right now, there's no major winter storm on the horizon. Nothing as massive as what we just saw, but something to keep an eye on as we get closer to the end of the week. These are the probabilities of at least seeing 1 inch of accumulating snowfall next weekend. The odds aren't looking too terrible right now in the mid-Atlantic. We're ranging from 20 to 40% with the highest probabilities in the higher elevations. Right down towards the Gulf Coast, we're around a 3% chance. There's honestly a better chance of you winning a small lottery prize than getting snow down there as of right now. But those odds can change down the road as we get closer. Remember to drop your city below. I'm giving personalized forecasts in tomorrow's video based on what you guys are asking about. Let me get into more specific city forecasts because I know that's what a lot of you are here for. New York City. Friday night, you're looking at temperatures dropping into the mid-20s. Saturday morning, around 21 degrees. Sunday morning could be even colder, maybe 19 degrees. And the wind is going to make it feel like single digits. Boston. You guys are really going to feel this. Friday night, 18 degrees. Saturday morning, 15 degrees. Sunday morning could drop to 12 degrees. Coastal areas like Cape Cod might stay slightly warmer, but we're still talking brutal cold. Providence, similar numbers. Hartford, you're looking at Saturday morning around 13 degrees. Now here's where things get interesting. Burlington, Vermont, you could see Saturday morning temperatures around -5 degrees. That's cold even for you guys. Portland, Maine, around 8 degrees. Bangor, -2 degrees. These are the kinds of temperatures that can cause real problems, even in areas that are used to cold weather. Pittsburgh, Saturday morning, 16 degrees. Cleveland, 14 degrees. Columbus, 15 degrees. Cincinnati, you're looking at 13 degrees Saturday morning. Louisville, 11 degrees. Indianapolis, 12 degrees. All across the Ohio Valley, we're dealing with bone-chilling cold. Let me tell you why this matters. When you get temperatures this cold, things start breaking. Water pipes freeze. Cars don't start. Heating systems get overworked. And if you're in an area that still has power outages from the last storm, you're sitting in single-digit temperatures without heat. That is life-threatening. This is the part that honestly has me concerned. We're looking at a compounding disaster scenario. You've got areas that were hit hard by ice and snow. Many still have power outages. Trees and power lines are down. Roads are still hazardous. And now we're going to drop temperatures into the teens and single digits across a huge portion of the country. If this verifies, we're looking at a dangerous situation. But models can be wrong. Forecasts change. Let's hope this is one of those times where the models overdid it and it's not quite as cold as currently projected. We're about 48 hours away from high confidence on the exact numbers. Tomorrow's update is going to be critical because the 12Z model runs tomorrow morning will give us much better clarity on both the temperatures and the snow potential. Almost there, and the best part is coming up in 1 minute. I want to talk about the longer range pattern and what happens after this Arctic blast. Let me hit some more cities because I know many of you are waiting to hear your specific area. Detroit, Saturday morning, 12 degrees. Milwaukee, 8 degrees. Chicago, you're looking at around 10 degrees Saturday morning with wind chills well below zero. Madison, Wisconsin, 5 degrees. Minneapolis, You guys could see -8 degrees Saturday morning. That's dangerous cold even by your standards. Des Moines, Saturday morning around 4 degrees. Omaha, 6 degrees. Kansas City, 9 degrees. Wichita, 14 degrees. Oklahoma City, you're looking at around 18 degrees Saturday morning. Tulsa, 19 degrees. Little Rock, as I mentioned earlier, you're right on that line between teens and single digits, probably around 13 degrees. Shreveport, Louisiana. You could see Saturday morning around 22 degrees. Monroe, 20 degrees. Alexandria, 21 degrees. Baton Rouge, around 24 degrees. These are temperatures that can damage citrus crops, cause pipe bursts, and create hazardous conditions, especially for anyone still without proper shelter. Houston, you're looking at Saturday morning around 28 degrees. That might not sound terrible, but for Houston, that's cold. Beaumont, around 26 degrees. Galveston, the coastal location will keep you slightly warmer, maybe 32 degrees, but the north side of the Houston metro could see mid-20s. Austin, Saturday morning, 25 degrees. San Antonio, 27 degrees. Corpus Christi, you'll probably stay above freezing, around 34 degrees. Brownsville, you're far enough south that you're looking at around 40 degrees Saturday morning. Now let me shift over to the West Coast for a moment because I know you guys are watching too. While the eastern two-thirds of the country deals with Arctic air, the West Coast actually has a different setup. Seattle, you're looking at rain, not snow. For the lowlands, temperatures in the 40s and 50s. Portland, Oregon, similar situation. Rain, maybe some mountain snow, but nothing too dramatic. San Francisco, you're looking at a pretty quiet pattern. 50s and 60s. Los Angeles, same thing. Phoenix, you'll actually be relatively warm. Upper 60s to low 70s while the rest of the country freezes. But here's the thing. This Arctic air is so extensive that even Denver is going to feel it. Saturday morning, Denver, you're looking at around 8 degrees. Colorado Springs, 6 degrees. Cheyenne, Wyoming, around -2 degrees. These are numbers that can cause problems even in areas that are used to winter weather. Hang on. I misspoke earlier when I was talking about the Gulf Coast snow chances. Let me rephrase that. The 3% chance I mentioned, that's specifically for the immediate coast. If you move inland 50 to 75 miles, those chances actually bump up to around 10 to 15% in some locations. Still not great odds, but better than right at the coast. St. Louis. Saturday morning, you're looking at around 11 degrees. Springfield, Missouri, 13 degrees. Columbia, 14 degrees. All across Missouri, we're dealing with dangerous cold. Nashville, as I mentioned, around 10 degrees Saturday morning. Knoxville, 12 degrees. Chattanooga, 14 degrees. Here's the situation in the southeast. Asheville, North Carolina, with your elevation, you're looking at around 16 degrees Saturday morning. Greenville, South Carolina, 18 degrees. Spartanburg, 17 degrees. Columbia, South Carolina, 20 degrees. Augusta, Georgia, 19 degrees. Macon, 21 degrees. Columbus, Georgia, 20 degrees. Florida, let me give you more specifics because this is going to be a big deal for you guys. Tallahassee, Saturday morning, around 21 degrees. Gainesville, 23 degrees. Ocala, 25 degrees. Orlando, you're looking at around 27 degrees Saturday morning. Tampa, around 30 degrees. The coastal location helps you out a bit, but Sunday morning could actually be colder for some of you. Orlando, Sunday morning might drop to 25 degrees. Lakeland, 24 degrees. Winter Haven, 23 degrees. These are freeze warnings territory. If you have sensitive plants, you need to protect them starting Friday night. Now, I don't want to scare you, but if this cold verifies as modeled, and if you're in one of these areas still without power, here's what you need to know. Temperatures in the teens and 20s inside a home without heat can become dangerous within a few hours, especially for vulnerable populations. Check on your neighbors. Make sure everyone has a plan. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I've been doing this for a while, and patterns like this, where you have multiple Arctic blasts back-to-back with infrastructure damage in between, these are the ones that cause the most problems. It's not just about the cold. It's about the duration. It's about the timing. It's about the fact that we haven't had time to recover from the last event. Fort Myers, Florida. You'll probably stay in the low 30s Saturday morning. Naples, similar. Miami. You're looking at around 42 degrees Saturday morning. That's cold for Miami, but it's not a freeze. West Palm Beach, around 38 degrees. Fort Lauderdale, 40 degrees. But Sunday morning, that's when even South Florida could see some of the coldest temperatures. Miami, Sunday morning, could drop to around 38 degrees. That's getting close to some records for this time of year. Homestead, you could see 35 degrees. The Florida Keys will stay warmest, probably mid to upper 50s even on the coldest morning. You know what happens when you get this kind of widespread cold? The entire energy grid gets stressed. Everyone is running heat at maximum, and in areas where the infrastructure is already damaged, that creates additional challenges. I'm not saying we're going to see more widespread outages, but it's something to be aware of. All right, let's jump into the Northeast in more detail. Albany, New York, Saturday morning, around 9 degrees. Syracuse, 7 degrees. Rochester, 8 degrees. Buffalo, with the lake influence, you might actually stay slightly warmer, around 12 degrees, but you'll have more snow to deal with. Scranton, Pennsylvania, around 14 degrees Saturday morning. Allentown, 16 degrees. Reading, 17 degrees. Harrisburg, 18 degrees. York, 18 degrees. Lancaster, 19 degrees. All of Pennsylvania is going to be well below freezing. Here's your concern if you're in the mid-Atlantic. You've got the cold, that's layer 1. You might have some snow Friday night into Saturday, that's layer 2. And you're right in the middle of winter, so heating systems are already working hard, that's layer 3. If anything breaks, if power goes out, if a pipe bursts, you're in a tough spot because everyone is dealing with the same issues simultaneously. Washington, D.C. metro area, let me break this down by county. Montgomery County, Maryland, Saturday morning around 20 degrees. Howard County, 19 degrees. Prince George's County, 21 degrees. Anne Arundel County, 22 degrees due to proximity to the bay. Northern Virginia, Fairfax County, around 21 degrees. Loudoun County, 18 degrees. Prince William County, 20 degrees. Before I forget to mention, if you're in an area that uses a heat pump for heating, these extreme cold temperatures can reduce efficiency significantly. You might need to use backup heat sources. Make sure you know how to switch over if needed. Let me talk about what happens after this weekend because that's just as important as the cold itself. Early next week, we should start to see some moderation in temperatures. Not a dramatic warm-up, but at least getting back closer to normal for late January. Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, most areas should be within a few degrees of average. But here's what I'm watching. The pattern doesn't look like it's fundamentally changing yet. We could see another round of cold late next week or into the following weekend. It's still too far out to know for certain, but the overall pattern suggests winter is not done with us yet.